Hey folks, I'm glad you're here to learn about the first commandment. How important it is phenomenal. I didn't realize myself. Do you know what time it is? Thank goodness for the internet. And thank goodness we can actually really study the scriptures now and understand them, because we can't rely on our pastors. Absolutely not. We've been corrupted by our pastors. You know, there's an undue influence on our people for a long time. And that's because Satan, he's been wanting to push us out of the kingdom forever. And so, folks, if you want to get your foot in that door in that kingdom, you need to follow this commandment. And the following commandment is, and let me tell you, I like to start in Mark. Go to chapter 12 and go to verses 29 through 31. This is when the Lord is talking. The question is asked, what's the greatest commandment? Okay, and Jesus says, he answers him and he says, the first of all the commandments is, hear, O Israel, the Lord our God is one God, or is one Lord. And thou shalt love the Lord thy God with all thy heart, and with all thy soul, and with all thy mind, and with all thy strength. This is the first commandment. And the second is like, namely this, thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. There is none other commandment greater than these. Well, folks, this is how we get our foot in the door, because we get to know how to love the Lord. Okay, we keep his statutes, we keep his commandments, and it's not just the 10 commandments, okay? Because you go to Deuteronomy chapter 11 verse 1, therefore thou shalt love the Lord thy God and keep his charge and his statutes and his judgments and his commandments always. To love him, we have to do that. Now, you think it's just isolated to the Israelites? Absolutely not. None. We are joint heirs. We are the mystery. The mystery of God is being revealed. We are joint heirs with the Israelites, okay? And in order to be joint heirs with the Israelites, we have to do what they did, don't we? We have to understand what's the true, keeping the Sabbath, not Sunday worship, Sabbath worship. We need to keep his statutes. You know what got the Israelites in trouble in the first place? Yeah, they got greedy. They didn't want to keep his statutes because it was like, oh no, I don't want to release people of debt. Absolutely no way. I'm money hungry, No, he wanted us to release people of debt so we can realize who gives us our increase, the Lord. You understand that? Everything comes through the Lord, and we don't acknowledge that. If we love God, we will understand that he is a big part of our life. Okay, those 10 commandments that we talk about, and we never talk about as feasts and things like that, but we need to. The 10 commandments, the first 4, are all about God, our relationship with God. No graven images, no other gods before us. No, don't take the name of the Lord in vain. Yeah, guys, those are about God, okay, and keeping his Sabbath, okay? He named 6 days of the week 6 days, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, but on the 7th he called it the Sabbath. Okay, he didn't name any other days. He just called the 7th day the Sabbath. Understand that, okay? It's critical. All right, you can use any excuse you want to, but it's wrong. If you're not keeping the Sabbath, we need to. Doesn't matter what your leaders say. We have translation of a translation of a translation for our scriptures. You think things kind of get lost a little bit? You better believe it. That's why we need the Jews. We need to go to them and get the knowledge of the scriptures. The original scriptures and the intent of those scriptures. Okay? They have the new, the New Testament. Now, the New Testament means new covenant. No, it means renewed covenant. Because if it's a new covenant, what's the new covenant, guys? They never stress that point, do they? It is a renewed covenant. Jesus came to bring us back to the Torah. Bring us back to the Torah. That's why he set the Jews up. The Jews were the ones that were converting. Don't forget that. The Jews were converting. They were keeping the Sabbath day. They were keeping the statutes, the Passover, the feasts, okay? People overlook that. They were the ones that started the whole ball rolling with the church. They were the initial churchgoers, okay? You forget it. Don't forget that. It's critical. All right? We need to understand that to love the Lord, to do our job of that first commandment, we have to keep everything he told us to keep. We have to feast on his words. And any pagan stuff in our life, which is everything, pretty much. If you live in America, I mean, we are very paganized. You need to get rid of it. He's not tolerating it. He's not allowing you to sit there and say, well, wait a minute, I'll worship the Lord the way I want to. No, 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 no. You're the ones that are going to hell. Because you're the ones that don't love him at all. Why would the Heavenly Father want to invite you into his kingdom when you're sitting there telling him that, oh, well, I'll love you my way. My way, my way. Oh, yeah, right. Right. You're fooling yourself. You're dreaming. You're digging your own grave. Now, you are responsible, not your pastor, okay? Your pastor's going to take some big hits for preaching what he does. That's outside the law. But you are responsible for your destiny, folks. Those 5 books of the first 5 books, which is called the Torah, or the 5 books of Moses, whatever you want to call it, the Genesis, Leviticus, Numbers, Deuteronomy, and Exodus, okay? You are responsible to see to it that you study those instructions on how to live, and you incorporate them into your life. Now, we're all remiss. We need to start line upon line, precept upon precept, but all you have to do is go to a website, a Jewish website, download the 613 commandments, and you start doing a checklist, understanding what it is expected of you, okay? Some things we can't do, but that's okay. It's all categorized, and they give you the references, and the references are sometimes off a little bit because the Hebrew scriptures don't have the same sync that we've got, okay? Heavenly Father wants you in his kingdom. He's calling you. That's why you're listening to these kinds of YouTubes and things like that. He's calling you, folks, and you're listening, and you're coming. Okay? So that's what's been happening to me, and I'm hoping that you open your eyes and ears and listen to him and follow his statutes. Thanks, folks, for coming.